I know. I hear you. You're saying, okay, Noel, but what the heck is an ism, really? I've been giving that question some thought myself, and as usual, I turned to Google for some answers, and I found a massive list of isms, as well as a definition. So let me share my screen. What is the meaning of ism? A distinctive belief, cause, or theory. I added the word habit. So an ism would be a distinctive belief, cause, theory, or habit, and in some cases, an oppressive and especially discriminatory attitude or belief. That's possible in the context of the way I'm going to describe it to you. But in my journey as an actor, I have come to the conclusion that there is an important step that many actors may not be aware of, or they simply haven't focused on it as much as I think maybe we should. There comes a point where you're fine-tuning your technique and your craft, and you realize there are so many things that we as human beings do that are habitual. They're isms, they're behaviorisms. One of the most common is the ism. Um, you know, like, I was walking down the street, and I met this guy, and they're called filler words very commonly. We throw them in constantly in our everyday speech. It's a human trait. It's a human behavior. We all do it across the world. If you watch things on the interwebs and you pay attention to where the people are located geographically, where they grew up, in what part of the world, you'll see so many commonalities between them. In the Zoom sessions I engage in, where there are students from around the globe taking these classes, they're all using the like monster. Like anyone that's speaking English, whether they're a native English speaker or they learned English as a second language, they're throwing that word like in there as if it was gold. It's the most common ism out there. What happened was, there are so many little phrases and noises that we make in everyday speech that probably just aren't going to translate onto the screen. So we come to this point in our acting journey where we realize we need to tame the isms. Some isms are so bad, I call them monsters. And of course, like is one of them, the like monster. There are so many isms, in fact, that an author named Stephen Chrysomalis made a list of them. He listed 234, and that's far from a complete list. Let me show you. This is a website created by the author Stephen Chrysomalis, in which he lists philosophical isms. He's limited his list to philosophical isms, and still he has 234. Let's take a look at just a few of them. Absurdism. Doctrine that we live in an irrational universe. I think that's pretty much a given. Accidentalism. Theory that events do not have causes. Maybe we can say that's true too. There's some of these I don't know what they mean. Adiaphorism. Doctrine of theological indifference or latitudinarianism. Well, that's just an ism on top of an ism. Apocalypticism. Apocalypticism. I think that means you're waiting for the zombie apocalypse. I'm close. Doctrine of the imminent end of the world. Collegialism. And no, it doesn't have anything to do with college. It's the theory that church is independent from the state. Egalitarianism, one of my faves. Belief that humans ought to be equal in rights and privileges. Hells yeah. Fatalism. Doctrine that events are fixed and humans are powerless. That probably sums up the plot line of almost all the movies we work on. Individualism. Belief that individual interests and rights are paramount. I like that one too. Intellectualism. Let's not think too hard about this. Belief that all knowledge is derived from reason. It would be nice to think that. Nihilism. Denial of all reality. Extreme skepticism. There's another main plot point for most of the movies we work on. And maybe my all-time favorite ism, optimism. Doctrine that we live in the best of all possible worlds. Maybe we don't, but it's nice to think that we do. So let's try to remain optimistic about our isms. I think I'm going to add some of my own to this list, such as isms and the apologism. Have you ever been on set and an actor you're working with can't stop apologizing for flubbing their lines? It takes them right out of the scene when they apologize. Never apologize. Just keep barreling on. People make mistakes in reality. Your character might make mistakes in the scene. If you stay in character, don't apologize. No one's going to know you flubbed up unless you let the audience know you flubbed up. Power on. Sometimes those are the moments that end up being pure gold, and they end up in the movie. So no apologism, no isms, no like monsters. I worked as crew on a recent shoot for the state of Connecticut. It was a public service announcement about the dangers of smoking. And there were 6 very talented professional actors on set. And yet I still saw the isms. Some of them were so pronounced that the director actually had to stop and call it out and ask the actor to address it. The posture monster was one of them. And one of the actors had a great deal of presence, and she even asked us to let her know if she was hunching into the camera. Because this is one of the isms that we have. When we get excited, we tend to crane our neck and move ourselves towards the camera. And personally, I don't see this happening in real life, in conversations between people. I see it happening when we are on camera. So if you know there's a camera in front of you and you're getting excited, you start to do this, the hunching and the craning. And that's the posture monster. The director had to call that out with 3 of the actors. Well, 2 of them. One of them called it out on herself. And then there was the shun monster. Diction, elocution, enunciation. People saying things like, I'm going to the store instead of I'm going to the store. I'm gonna get instead of I'm going to get. I want to go instead of I want to go. So elocution, enunciation, pronunciation, all of the shuns are very important when you're on camera. More important than when you're in real life. We can get away with those kinds of things when we're just talking to each other, but when we're on screen, it's not necessarily going to fly if we're not being understood by our viewing audience. The blink monster. So many actors struggle with blinking constantly as they're on set, on camera. And you can't do that if you want the editor to love you. If you're blinking way too many times in a scene, the editor's going to have a really tough time editing you in post-production. So you have to try to rein in the blink monster. In real life, who cares? Blink as many times as you want. But when we're on screen, we're not presenting reality to our viewing audience. We're presenting hyper-reality. So things that are no concern to us during our everyday life become a concern when we're within the constraints of this little frame. Suddenly we have to act differently than we do in real life. So we're not necessarily going for reality or realism. We're going for hyper-reality, a performance of reality. Another one is the fright monster. And this is so common, and even veteran actors deal with this. But every now and again, you get in your head and you just get this bout of stage fright, and you might start perspiring or forgetting your lines or just being nervous about your blocking or whatever it is. It happens. It happens to all of us. It's not something to stress over because it's so common and because no one's immune to it. Even veteran actors, veteran performers deal with stage fright. Just find a way to cope. Take your time. If you need a moment, I'm sure the director and whoever you're working with would be more than happy to give you a moment to get out of your head and get back into the moment. You have to do what it takes to get the job done. So relax on set. Realize that everyone is there to help you do your best work. When I'm working crew, My job is to help you as an actor to do your best work so that we can all get what we want in the can. So don't worry if you get stage fright, just do it, do whatever it takes. Have a coping mechanism. And then the other thing I want to mention about the isms and your addressing them on set, be patient. Be patient with everyone, including yourself. Patient people are very easy to work with on set. And I'm talking about cast and crew. And we all have had experiences with the opposite of that, so you know what I'm talking about when I say this. It can be very stressful on set, especially if you're doing commercial work, because commercials are fast-paced, they're high energy, they got to get them done fast, they're on a tight budget, they don't have a lot of time. It can get stressful, but if everyone remains patient and keeps a positive attitude, even the stress can be fun. I've had a blast on stressful commercials when everybody was working together and we were all in sync and harmonious, and we were struggling to get that job done in a hurry and get it done well, fast and good. Tough combination. There's camaraderie in that, and if everybody stays positive, it usually works out great, and then everyone feels great afterwards because it's like, yeah, we did it. That includes the talent. Very important that the talent be involved in that process. It's a collaboration between everybody on set. So be aware of the isms. Start working towards dealing with the isms. Awareness is the number one thing. Being aware of your isms is the bulk of the task of dealing with them. If you're not aware of them, you obviously can't deal with them. If you have a little tick, an eyebrow thing, or raising of the eyes, craning of the neck, whatever your little isms are, if you're not aware you're doing them, you can't correct it, right? So in your test phase, when you're watching your self-taped auditions and your self-taped practice sessions, start to think about the isms and observe yourself as objectively as you can and see if there are any little tics or habits or vocal traits or communication errors you're making, and start working to address those. That's half the battle, is just knowing that you're doing it and that you need to address it. Ask your friends who are giving you feedback to do this for you as well. If they see isms, have them point them out to you. All right, everybody, I hope this has been helpful to you. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to the channel. And remember, if you want to join a bunch of your fellow actors who are serious and dedicated and will motivate you to keep doing the work, please visit actorsfeedbackforum.com. Link in the description. See you next video.